Patrick is he's many things. He's a researcher artist working with AI and generative visuals. He also, he's been working as a prof at Goldsmith, but he is now en route to Vietnam, where he's going to go and fire up the TouchDesigner, the very growing TouchDesigner community. He's going to show us today, it's a nice project using neural networks to drive real-time visualizations of traditional Indonesian dance.
Hi everybody, 10 minutes. Woo! 10 minutes, let's do this. So what I would like to do today is a bit different. So I would like to show you about what we are doing currently with my team on how you can work with something we call embodied data. So it's not merely just simple data, but data that has quite profound meaning inside. So here, the theme of my presentation today is, it's a bit academic things, but don't worry, I have TouchDesigner after this. So it's about machine learning conceptual bridge visualization of Langer dance. So what we are trying to propose here on how we can use this specific technology to build a framework, conceptual framework using machine learning to work with the specific culture-based data, which in this case, the motion capture data from Langer dance. So here I'm on behalf of my other collaborator. Yep. And so what is Langer? Langer is one of the traditional dance from Indonesia. However, it's a very, very unique and is somehow really relevant what we're talking about at the moment. So in our culture, we actually understand gender more than just we have a lot of actually, depend the region of our culture. And what is interesting, one is actually Langer. Why Langer? Because Langer conventionally was performed by a male, biologically male, but during the performance, they need to become someone else. And this is actually the interesting part. Let me just show the video. This is a kind of like more tutorial on how the Langer dance looks. I will just fast forward. But then this is during the actual performance. Try to see the mimic of the dancer, the face. So my friend Rianto here, every time before the performance start, they need to do the ritual. And what is the ritual about? They need to call the spirit from the ancestor. So basically, the body of the dancer is no longer become just a normal biological body, but it's become a medium to bring this conversation with the long history of the art and also culture in a specific area, which in this case, the Langer. So after a lot of research and working collaboratively with the dancer, so this specific movement that we eventually capture is very related with the ritual identity and transcendence what we conceive as a normal, consciousness in this area. So Langer is conceived of embodiment and beyond gender and body as the medium. And it's become kind of problematic nowadays if you would like to try to just see from one perspective as a data. So after a lot of discussion with the Rianto, the dancer, and also my collaborator Monica Lim, who is actually the person who captured the dance, we eventually come to the idea that indeed Langer is not just merely numbers. It's just not merely like motion capture. Lately we have a lot of motion capture work created by our community, but most of them is kind of like, I didn't say that they don't have the meaning, but it's kind of like more improvisatory action. But this one is more than that. And that's why we use the term of embodied data. So what we do, we capture the motion capture performance from the dance. Then we have a lot of problem. The problem is it's a huge number of data. And if you're familiar with the motion capture, it consists of a lot of channels. Like if you're using, I forget the name of the software, but one specific location is one channel in CHOP. So just imagine you have a lot of them, and you have a lot of extension of time. And when we talk about that, we come into the very interesting idea. Normally, when we're dealing with motion capture data or doing some kind of motion analysis, we will do segmentation, right? We take a temporal data, it's specific movement relevant to this idea. When we try to use this approach, it's not really aligned well with the idea of what I previously showed you, the ritual, identity, and transcendence, because they're always trying to understand the whole movement and performance as a holistic perspective. And therefore, to work with this idea, I come to this idea on using a machine learning, of course. Initially, this is something very common in computer music community, especially when the Flucoma is launched. I believe if you're using Maxim SP here, very familiar with that. So I'm trying to kind of like similar idea, which using, sorry, it's a bit technical, multi-level perceptron in TouchDesigner using the Python, but inside Python environment. And therefore, instead of doing this segmentation of data, what we do energy-based analysis of the entire movement of Langer data. And of course, I cannot like showing you everything here. So we have the motion energy, we have the velocity, we have the acceleration. Since this is part of, let's say, computing research, so we have the equation. Ignore the equation. It's just like to show you what we are doing. So what is the motion energy? It's a total energy movement in its frame. Basically, you can also do with CHOP. You know, we do the RMS things, but it's just like, well, you do in Python, and it's a part of my research, so I just want to do things complicated. You can but basically, with TouchDesigner, you can simply get the RMS data using CHOP. And we have the velocity. This is the average speeds of all channel between frames. But one thing very interesting that is actually I get the idea not from us in the computing area, but from the dancer, is this. You want to know what? Because he kept telling me that there is a specific movement that happened. It's kind of like impulse that he cannot also explain. So the way for me to translate the idea, so I'm trying to kind of like the average change in velocity. When there is like very specific sudden move, then I get the data. Indeed, we are still working on that. This is kind of like a visualization of the data so far. This is when we start doing the training, everything was a chaos. And eventually we kind of like get into almost really good outcome. I can show you now what happened in TouchDesigner. Let me check okay, this is the environment, correct? So I always make my file tidy. So to all students, you should make sure that your TouchDesigner looks like this, so we understand, okay? So basically here I get all the control. I will just jump to here. So this is basically the motion capture data. I'm sorry, it's a raw data. It's here. This is the raw data. We get the raw data, then we process everything in simple. You can see all the explanation there, right? Then from there, we go to here. We get the macro feature, which is I'm using chop execute to calculate everything. Then from there, we go to the model that we train. It's go output here. Then the last process is when we try to kind of like normalize a bit from the output from the model, then goes to our shader code here. And here I'm using shader at the moment because it was developed still before POP. And what I'm doing here, I'm kind of like it's kind of like distorted sun distant function, right? And then why it looks distorted? Because the data is actually coming from the movement. So sometimes I kind of like overlap the value from what is supposed to be done in Chinese function. And that is all from me so far. We'll just continue here. So yeah, as a visual output, I use shader, machine learning conceptual bridge. So this is kind of like a sample of project where you can try to work with something that more than just a data, something that has a value inside, and it's a very cultural based project. We are still working it at the moment. Honestly, I was dealing with the other research project, but we try to finish this for SIGGRAPH next year. So if you are in SIGGRAPH next year, it's supposed to be somewhere in LA, hopefully, then I'll be done presenting this. Thank you very much for me, and that's all. Let's keep in touch. Oh yeah, one thing very important, everything will be on public, of course, so please keep an eye on my Instagram. I always post anything. If you need any file, whatever, just text me. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Patrick. And the output's really beautiful too.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you, Isabel.
And good luck on your journey. And
yes,
we look forward to
it's a long journey. Yeah.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing more of the community in East Asia.
Yes, we have a huge Southeast Asia TouchDesigner community at the moment. So I'm going somewhere there, so let's keep in touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next up. Unless any questions?
Any question? No, I guess. Oh, yeah.
Masha?
That's awesome. Like
Thank you very much.
extracting meaning from the position data
Yes.
is awesome. My question is about the last step when
Yes.
you create visuals out of meaning.
Yes.
And, which decisions did you make for that step?
Very good question. Why we do this approach? Because the dancer always keep telling me he dreamed the body as a fluid. Like fluid all the time. And that's why we see that the generative AI is not really suited with this purpose of research. Because the dancer already have the idea of the fluidity, and now we would like to find a bridge on how we use the data, which is very technological based, to meet at the middle. And that's why we have already shared it looks like fluid, which is actually kind of like distorted sign distance function. And that's actually why we use that. Yes. I think that's all. No more question. We can meet after this, of course.